Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's been a while since I have done one of these, and this is if. And to be honest, if there was one that I really would wanted to do that I haven't done in a long time, or anything as far as interviewing people and sharing information and a beautiful story, it's this one. So my name is Marilyn Shannon, and I am a life business coach. I'm a speaker. I am a journalist. I am a digger into lives and stories, and I'm a connector. And I am passionate about sharing people and their stories and life so that we all can have the best quality of existence that we possibly have. So I have two beautiful women here. I'm not going to talk too much, but I am going to ask them questions. And we have got Tara and we've got Paula. So Tara, why don't you start?
Well, first, thank you for having me, for having both of us. This is truly an honor. And so I just want to say thank you for that. We actually met a few years back.
You and me, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And so it is nice to kind of have this full circle now that things have changed and life is kind of different now. But for me, my story starts off with at 39 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that kind of just led my life to where it is today. Um, I was working as a nurse and I didn't have any family history. I just had a great doctor that said, I want you to go start having mammograms when I was 30. And I thought, all right, well, if insurance is going to cover it, it's a little bit crazy, but my breasts were dense. And so I said, what the heck? So I went and had it done. And she wanted me to go every couple of years. But and being a nurse, I disagree with this because you should follow your doctor's orders. But for me, I kind of went every 3 years. And at my annual checkup, when I was 39, my doctor looked at me and she said, Tara, it's been almost 3 years. I said, you're right. I've got an appointment. I'm going. I'll get my mammogram. Something in my gut just said, it's really important. You need to go. So I went, and that's kind of when my life turned upside down.
All right. Well, I appreciate, and there's more, a lot more
Yeah.
that Tara has to say about this journey, but also how she's turned this journey into something that's truly magical. And we're going to get into that. So, Paula, you want to tell us who you are? And listen, I don't even know Paula. So everything she's going to tell me now, I have no idea what it's going to be.
Yes, and first of all, also thank you for having me and Tara for inviting me to join this. Very honored. My name is Paula, and I came to be involved in this because of Tara. Tara and I are very old friends. When Tara was diagnosed and had surgery, I was able to help her a little bit from a distance. And then I was diagnosed 10 years later. And because of what she does and her experiences, I have learned so much and was able to navigate through this much better than having done it alone with someone, with no experience. I knew nothing, but yes.
And a lot of people don't know anything. And a spellbound, I would imagine. I haven't had this experience, I've had others. But you're spellbound. I mean, and the path is crooked and scary, and there's not all kinds of help. So go into that a little bit more, Tara.
Well, when I went and had that mammogram, that changed everything. It was a little bit different. They just kept on going over an area over and over. And it was kind of strange because at the end, the technician, looked at me and she gave me a hug. And I thought, well, this is kind of strange. I mean, but okay. And she was like, somebody will reach out to you with the results soon. So I went home
Can I
and
ask you a question? Why did
yeah.
you think that was strange?
Well, because I've had so many mammograms prior to that, nobody
Oh, okay.
kept going over an area like she did. I mean, I had a spot years prior. It was a fatty tissue. It turned out to be nothing. It really wasn't. And like your instinct inside, it's almost like no. Back then, it wasn't even a concern. And so when this was different and her look, her gaze, everything was completely different. She had the look on her face of concern. And being a nurse, like I know you're taught in school to like keep your emotions, you have to be the positive face with your patient and the safe space. So when I saw her change from just that, mammogram technician doing what she does to a look of concern, and then that's when I went, oh, something's going on.
That was pretty perceptive of you. And so then what did you do?
So 24 hours later, my primary physician called and said, Tara, I have an appointment for you today at 1 in Raleigh, because I'm in North Carolina, in Raleigh at the breast surgeon's office. And I went, well, this is a little bit odd, but okay. And she said, your films aren't going to be there yet. It's been, so recent. But her and I have already had a conversation and she's waiting for you. And I thought, wow. Well, I live near, the technician, the hospital where it was done. I can just pick them up. That was probably the worst thing I could have done, because I walked in, picked them up, got in the car, and I, of course, being nosy, but having that medical background knowledge and able to pretty much read what the report was saying, my heart sank, and my eldest daughter was with me. And she was like, is everything okay, Mom? And I was like, yeah, I think so. We just need to get home now. And so we got home and I just looked at my husband. I was just pointed, we got to get outside. Like I couldn't even talk about it. And I just started crying. I was like, they say I have this 5 centimeter tumor, which is huge, in my armpit with trinlins that are like spider legs. And I was like, I don't feel this. I can't even believe it. They put stage 5. There's not even a stage 5. Like I've never learned that. And he was like, stop. God's in control. Let's go see what the doctor has to say. And so I pulled it together. We went to the doctor. Same thing with her. She couldn't feel it. She was like, this is puzzled. Like she was puzzled. And so she sent me to her radiologist for 7 hours. We did mammograms, ultrasounds, layer after layer of tissue. I mean, we were there until the office closed down, the lights were turned down, and it was literally the doctor, myself, and my husband. And she said, Tara, there is no tumor here, but we found calcification. And so I was like, okay, I was relieved for a moment. And then she said, we'll just watch it for 6 months. Or, we can do a biopsy. Well, I'm pretty aggressive myself. And I said, no, we're going to do a biopsy. And she was like, well, that's a pretty aggressive. And I go, good, let's be aggressive.
Hold on a minute for somebody who doesn't know anything.
Sure.
Why is that aggressive?
Well, because a lot of times, we tend to go with what the experts say. They're supposed to be the experts in their field. And if they're telling you, we'll just monitor it, then, a lot of times that's okay. And they do monitor. And then 6 months later, you go back and they do more mammograms. For me, though, I can't just walk away. That was going to be heavy on me mentally, heavy on me in my whole entire life, all day, every day. That's all I'm going to think about. So for me, I wanted to go ahead and do the biopsy now and squash it, whether it was not, and move forward.
So it wasn't the biopsy itself that would be aggressive. It was being aggressive to do something.
Right. And including the biopsy, because they were kind of hesitant on that until I was like, no, we're doing the biopsy. So
why is the biopsy wrong?
I don't know. And I didn't understand that either. Like, why are we going to sit on it?
I don't understand what the biopsy could do that makes it matters worse.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
And that's what I said. That was my point to them.
Okay.
Like, what's the issue? Why do we have to? Why do we have to wait for 6 months? So we did schedule that biopsy, and about a week later, and that was a whole nother thing, but that came back positive for cancer. So this calcification now turned into, which was stage 0, which yay, if you have to have it, I guess. And so when I met up with my breast surgeon and she said, here's the plan. This is what we're doing. A lumpectomy, which is where they remove the tumor and tissue around it to get clear margins, and then start you on a hormone blocker, because I was hormone positive. And then you're going to have radiation. Well, I've like I said, I'm a nurse. I took care of breast cancer patients in my nursing career, and I've heard their stories. I've cared for their wounds. I've cared for them. And I've known my whole entire life, if I'm in this situation, I know what I'm going to do. It's not an easy, you know, decision. It's hard. I prayed about it. I did all my research in my nursing books. I talked to my family about it, and I knew strongly I wanted a double mastectomy. I was 39 years old, and this was my body. And, everybody says my body, my choice. But when it came down to it, I didn't have that. They weren't letting me choose. They were very pushed against what I wanted. And I had to fight for that surgery because they were so against being so aggressive again. And I said, why? Why are you fighting me on this? And, well, you have a healthy breast. You don't need to remove it. And I said, but it doesn't make me healthy inside. And I don't want to have to ever deal with this. And if I can do this to make me feel better mentally, so I can go raise my kids and live my life, it should be my decision.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because just in case somebody hears this and then they shut us off, how do you get the strength and the wherewithal and the intelligence and the permission and the just when you're not like you are, you're not a nurse, how do you, when in this kind of a situation, how do you believe in yourself?
I think you just have to look in the mirror, but pull your strength from your kids, your family. I mean, all I had to do was look at my children, and I was like, no, I'm going to fight for them. I'm living for them. I'm not living for my boobs. I'm going to live. And if my husband leaves me because of it, then so be it, bye. And we've been together, at that time it was 20 years. So no, I think you just have to find, whether it's your faith, your family, your friends, just pull on them, or even resources like breast cancer survivor groups. I'm such an advocate, and I just tell everybody, go out and get your research, your research and your resources, because that can really educate you to make the best decision that you can. And I don't fault anybody doing their decision when they're put in that moment, because your life literally is turned upside down and you feel like you're in a hot tornado, like a world of hell. Everything goes extremely fast. Once you hear that word, you have cancer. It's like then surgery or treatment. Everything's happening, and you're sent home with paperwork and all. And it's like, what just happened? What? And even me with that medical background, when we left that day, I was like, what'd she say? And my husband was like, what do you mean what she said? Like, you're the nurse. I don't know any of that. And we learned real quick to write everything down or record it, because it just went like you're in a fog. And Paula can definitely attest to that. Like you can't believe what's happening to your life. And so I think,
and let me just say, I know, I thank God I don't even want to. I haven't had anything like you, but this last year, a lot of people know I've had a lot of stuff. And, when they said to me, you're going to need a cornea transplant, that was like everything hit me. And I understand that feeling where you kind of shut you can't even comprehend anything. Yeah. After that, it's like, what?
Yeah.
You just kind of, and you can't hear it and you can't comprehend it. And when you hear the best of the best telling you should do it this way, you shouldn't do it this way, how about, it's very hard to sit back and just say, no, this is what's right for me.
100%.
So, so I'm sorry I interrupted, but you all know I'm going to. So what were you going to say to Paula?
Well, just that she can attest to that as well. Like you're in that, and you, really anybody that's been in a life crisis situation, it's so overwhelming that you're trying to just make the right decision. So people that maybe don't have a medical background or know anybody that's been through a cancer diagnosis are like, you're telling me to do this. This is what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And they do it. And, and then later on, sometimes sadly, they'll look back and say, I wish I would have known this route, or I wish I could have found my voice earlier. And because I know not everybody's strong like that. And I don't know where I get it from. I thank God that I do, but there was a long period of time during this process, I did not have a voice. And my dad died during all this. And I'm fighting with my breast surgeon about my surgery, about my body and my life. Meanwhile, my dad dies horribly and he lives in Ohio. So I got to, run up there to be with him his last few days and then fight with my breast surgeon about what I wanted. And then she just said, you know what, Tara, um, because of insurance for your healthy breast, they're not going to approve it. And we're just going to move forward with a lumpectomy. And I have you scheduled. You just focus on your dad. And that is when I didn't have a voice and I felt helpless and heartbroken. And I just felt like nobody's listening. Why is she not listening to me? And then,
So don't tell us what happened. I mean,
okay.
I want to know what happened, but Paula, do you have anything to add to any of this?
Absolutely, Tara's right. You go in, you get the mammogram. It's concerning. They send you to ultrasound. Now you're really on high alert. And then you get told you need a biopsy. And in my case, my biopsy, one of the technicians said, you have a category 5 tumor, which I didn't know what that
So you
means. She
both
said,
had a 5? Is that the
um,
same thing she's talking about?
that is not the same thing.
Okay.
Um, what they told her was a term that really doesn't even exist. There are 4 stages, and they told her she had stage 5. But there's also something where they have a system, the size of the tumor, the shape of the tumor, the type of the tumor. So I was told I was a category 5, which is the worst tumor. And but the technician told me that's the problem, not my physician. Someone that should not have spoke about such a thing whispers to me as they're doing the biopsy. This is a category 5, which is 98% sure that you have cancer. So I walk out of just the biopsy, which is supposed to be a routine test, um, dumbfounded. Like Tara says, you hear the word cancer. I didn't even need to go to my doctor because I had already heard the word. So for a few days, they can't get you back in. You finally get that appointment. And I walk in there kind of knowing she's going to say it, but praying, you know, for those few days that it's not what I think it is.
So what happened to you?
So I go to that appointment. And again, what Tara said, although she's a nurse, I have absolutely no idea
So
what
they're
this
both
woman
ends
is
of the
telling.
spectrum here. And then
Yes,
me, who has absolutely no idea of any of this stuff, other than what I
right.
get from other people. Okay.
Yes. And my husband is with me, and the woman, of course, says it and is going through her terminology. And she says to me, yay.
And so while you were gone, Paula has been kind enough to share her journey too with us. And I just want to remind everybody that, yeah, we're sharing all of this now. And then we're going to get into to not the fix, but the support, the help. But, we can't shy away from the pain. We can't shy away from the traumas that these things cause us. We have to talk about all of this, the pain and the joy. Right now, we're talking about the horror, the pain, the acknowledgement, but we're going to get into the pleasure of moving forward because we all still have to do that. But if you can't talk about the pain, you can't acknowledge the joy and the pleasure either. So we have to talk about everything. So let's let Paula finish with what she's saying, and then we'll get back. Go ahead,
So
Paula.
I was saying, as you said, when you go into the office and you hear that word, it's all gone. You hear nothing else from anything. And so I'm sitting there trying to listen. And I live in a small community in Ohio. So the person I'm hearing this from at the time of this, I didn't even have a primary care, had no insurance, never went to the doctor. And so this woman who's not an expert is drawing breasts on a paper, trying to show me, I mean, a pencil drawing. And I'm told I have cancer. I was just like, what? is happening? How is this an accurate depiction of what you're telling me I have? And then she uses the word garden variety. You cannot tell a woman she has cancer. Well, if you're going to have it, this is the best kind. It's just a garden variety treatable cancer. What? What? So I'm blown back by all of this. And then she tells me I have something called stage 2.5, which to my knowledge, am I right, Tara, isn't a thing?
Well, so they have 2A or 2B. So what she
Okay.
probably was trying to say is the 2B, but 2.5 isn't really the lingo that they
Right.
So are
use.
So I have,
are they talking to us like we don't know anything?
Well, which could be good,
Okay.
because even having my background, I literally went in knowing nothing at the first initial meeting because, like we all know and said, you're just like, what is
yeah.
happening? So
So saying 2.5, is that a
it's
good way
bizarre. I
to,
mean, it's
is it's not,
weird.
I mean, is it supposed to make us feel better?
Right.
I mean, I don't,
I
okay,
don't
yeah,
understand.
I don't understand. I mean, but go ahead, Paula. So they told you 2.5.
2.5.
They said to me 2.5 and garden variety. And I think a lot of women hearing the diagnosis, it doesn't come from an oncologist. It doesn't come from a primary you've known for years, like my situation. They're uninsured or underinsured. And so I'm talking to a stranger who could offer me no comfort. I didn't know this woman at all. Um, so I get these little bits and pieces of strange information. Then I'm whisked out to a hallway where, as you said again, Tara, they start handing me binders and papers and books. And then everybody walked away, and I'm sitting in this hallway alone. And you go numb. That's all you can think about is what's next, what's next. And it moves so fast, you have no time to mentally prepare and understand what's happening to you.
I'm very sorry. And I am, for everyone who's listening, who have had anything remotely similar to this, I'm so sorry. And it's terribly sad that this is how this information gets relayed. And I just can't even, I mean, I can imagine, but I can't. And it's awful and it's disrespectful. And
Yeah.
I think that people like these attendees, these doctors, they have no idea how to communicate. And I also think, and I'm not making excuses, that they feel that they hear so much of this, maybe they get jaded.
Yeah.
I think
Numb.
that's a problem because then they overlook things that they shouldn't overlook, right? Like even in your case, right, Tara?
A little bit of empathy goes a long way. And I think that's what lacks in the medical field for a lot of people. In Paula's situation, that just shouldn't have happened. There should have been, if they knew that she was there at her appointment alone, there should have been somebody there to sit with her or go have a private conversation where she could at least get it together and try to comprehend a little bit and then be able to leave and drive herself home to then,
Oh,
process.
my husband was there, but you know a little bit about uh, the background of my marriage. And so basically, my husband wasn't there.
Yeah. I think this is the very, before we go into way positive, I think that Paula's message, if she wants to share that, is so important because so many women that I've met over the 11 years since I founded, my company that we'll talk about, Pink Ink Tattoo. I've heard this story so many times. And then to watch one of my closest, dearest human beings in my life actually go through it and kind of went through it silently because I didn't know all the details until afterwards. It's crushing. And unfortunately, it happens quite a bit and it's really sad.
So let's talk about all of it because I don't want to hide from any of it. We can't. I
No.
think it's time that we talk about everything. We listen as best we can, and I'm a listener, and I think everybody needs to turn it on all levels. But we need to talk about everything. So we are as prepared and as reassured is my new word, and supported. So what's the rest of that story, Paula?
Um, so of course, you drive home and you're thinking about wigs. You're thinking, because I was told from this general practitioner, again, you're going to have chemo, you're going to lose your hair, then you'll have possibly radiation. This woman was almost reading out of a textbook what happens to, women with your diagnosis. And she knew nothing. She honestly knew nothing. And she wanted to set me up in my small town with these treatments and move forward with surgery in this. And we aren't set up to deal with these sorts of things really here.
The town or
Um,
you? Wait, the
the
town?
town, the
Okay, got
town,
it.
yeah, the kind of the general, and it shouldn't be a joke, but kind of the general joke is Cambridge doesn't have a cancer center. You're going to die if you go to the local. So I will say my husband on this insisted I go to the Cleveland Clinic, which is top 5 in the breast cancer community. And I listened, even though it was overwhelming. I'm like, how am I going to get to Cleveland? I don't know how to do that. Who do I call? I didn't know where to start. And as soon as I got a hold of the right person there, they did it for me. They did it for me. I will have nothing but the best words to ever say about the cancer center I went to and continue to get treated at. They set it all up.
And so how are you doing?
In March, was told I am cancer free. I'm in complete remission and I am thriving. I am healthy. I feel wonderful. Spiritually and mentally, I've never felt better in my life.
I tell
A
people,
fabulous place.
I mean, you're going to make me cry because I've had a rough kind of crazy year, and I finally was given a prescription for glasses because I've gone like 18 months almost, just using readers, which are awful. And so I finally got a prescription and I ordered them last week. And I tell everybody I am physically exhausted. I am mentally tired, but I am spiritually strong. And that
Yeah,
spiritual strong stuff lets me know the rest is going to be fine.
a
That's
hundred
right.
percent.
And I got a lot of woo-woo stories that y'all can listen to on my threads. I mean, because woo-woo is like my buddy right now. Woo-woo is happening constantly. So was there something that you mentioned, Tara, something you wanted to say about your husband, or that's okay? Was there another piece of the story that I missed? Was there something
Oh,
else?
was that addressed to Tara or myself?
You.
Paula.
Um, yes, to be perfectly candid, I married an alcoholic. Um, and I was able to deal with that. I covered for him a lot. But then when cancer came into the picture, the drinking was out of hand. It was his way of coping with what was happening to me. So I had no voice at that point. I was weak. I was depressed. Um, and he knew that, and he preyed on that. He insisted that no one else help me. In order for him to have the power he didn't have, um, he began to control me so that he would look better to everyone else. And never believe what's happening behind closed doors is what's happening. He became the hero. I want to take you to every treatment. I want to be there for everything. I don't want anyone else but myself. I'm going to do all the information. I'm going to get you through this. It was a nightmare, Marilyn. It was a nightmare. Um, so all my treatments are in Cleveland. I have 3 months of chemotherapy. I have a drunk man taking me to every appointment, a lot of times sitting in a parking garage getting more drunk. And I'm sick. I can't, I'm sick. Fighting with him, trying to have a voice was worse than just putting my life in his hands and just trying to power through it. I went into something Tara calls robot mode.
Mm.
Robot mode. Inside, it was all about me. I just have to get through this for my kids, for myself, one focus, and avoiding the huge thing that was almost the downfall of me, almost took me to a place where I would never be okay.
So then what?
Then the next step was surgery. The chemotherapy actually was very successful.
So
Shrunk my
did you have to maneuver all this with your doctors at the center and you and them because he wasn't available, right, to make a decision?
pretty much, and all during this, he decided he's Dr. Google, and he decided every single thing. He bucked them on everything they decided. He told them they were trying to kill me, that I was a guinea pig. They were experimenting on me to see how these treatments would work, and then do we use them for someone else? Do we not? If it kills her, do we not use them on someone else? And it was embarrassing. But I tell you what, every person on that team must have seen this before because they were so supportive. When he would leave the room, I would apologize all over myself, and they would say, "It's okay. It's okay. We understand what you are going through."
And you have children?
I do. I had two grown sons at the time. And as Tara said, um, you look at them and they were terrified, just like Tara's children. And young men tend to go inside themselves. I had one boy go this way and one boy go the other way. One just inconsolable and so worried about me, and the other in his room when he wasn't working, in his room, hiding, can't talk to me about it, any of it.
You know, it's interesting how when this is happening to you, how strong you get, even stronger
Oh,
than you've ever thought you could before.
hallelujah.
I mean, look what you both had to manage. I mean, both stories are a little are different in many many ways. But Tara, you had to speak up, strong and loud, against the powers that be or people who had titles and education and here you are, yeah, you have some, but there they have all that,
Yeah.
and you're having to stand up and say no, this is how I want it. And then Paula, honey, what you had to go through to get your care in the midst of a jungle with boys and men, because I understand. And I'm not putting any of you down there or down that are men, because women just have come into emotional intelligence and management and balance longer than men. And I believe there's a lot of men who want it, but they just sometimes don't know the path. And your sons have learned the path. So what was the outcome?
Um, well, let me first say that as I was going into surgery, the outcome of chemo was wonderful. It shrunk
Well,
the
you're here with
tumor.
us and you look
And
beautiful,
yes,
so we know that.
thank you. And they had given me a surgical team. I had one surgeon to do the lumpectomy, and I ended up having 5 positive lymph nodes in my axillary, which is my armpit area. And um, so I was given not only the surgeon for the lumpectomy, but a surgeon who specializes in reconnecting. Tara, what is that called? Reconnecting after they take a lymph node so that you don't, she's gone again. I don't know the terminology, but so that you don't end up with something called lymphedema, which is a swelling that you'll have in your arm the rest of your life. And the more lymph nodes you remove, the more you are prone to developing this.
Mm.
So this man was an expert surgeon in that field, and he did a wonderful job. But subsequently, I did end up having a bit of lymphedema, which is manageable. I also have surgeon for that, and they just Cleveland Clinic does not leave you guessing or alone or without the perfect people to handle every situation.
Wow.
But one little thing I wanted to add, because if other women are facing this, I want them to know you're not alone and you should speak up if you can. As I went into surgery, the day before, my sister came. She lives in Virginia, and like I said, I'm in Ohio. This was the only time where someone in my corner, other than my husband, insisted, no, I'm coming this time. You're not shutting me out, not on the surgery.
You have to let them.
Yes. So my sister came, and we had 2 hotel rooms. We're in the hotel connected to the hospital. And the night before, he proceeds to get just extremely outrageously drunk. Comes back, he did this downstairs outside the hotel. Comes back up and knocks on her door instead of my door. And which was humiliating to me. She didn't care. She knew how he was. But to the woman trying to mask the behavior of this person, it's humiliating. And I want other women to understand it's not your fault.
And it's not
And
humiliating.
you don't have to, it's not humiliating. People understand you don't have to worry about that. You're trying to fight for your life.
So what happened to your husband?
He's gone now. But that particular night, he fought with me the night before that I may die the next morning, fought with me about not having sex with him before we went to bed. And maybe some of this is irrelevant, but these things I'm saying because I want women to understand they're not alone.
And the stories are so surreally real, really surreal and surreally real.
It is.
I mean, it is. And that's what I love so much about these stories, because here you are, one of a trillion women who could talk about stuff, and your story would put hair on somebody's chest, but all the stories could.
Yeah.
And your husband, I mean, it's off. I mean, it's awful. You know, it's just awful. But you survived, and he's gone. I mean, dead. Or did he die, or he's just
no, just not in my life.
Okay,
anymore.
not in your life. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, honey? You don't look. You know, Tara looks stronger than you on some level.
I'm getting there.
You are a friggin' ball buster.
I'm getting there.
You're not getting. You are there. I mean, Tara looks where she come from. You know, we're in Raleigh. She looks like she's been, you know, in control for a long time, and but you know what, honey? You can't tell a book by its cover, because I'm looking at you and I'm thinking to myself, damn, from a little town in Ohio, this woman is amazing. Paula, you're amazing.
She is amazing.
Thank you.
And you know what? I know that you can't see me, but you know, I had 10 years on her to really get out there, find my voice. And
okay, so how long, hold on a second. How long ago was this for you before you go on with that? Paula, how long ago?
I was diagnosed in June of 2021, so 4 years.
So how long have you been on the road to like strength, recovery?
About a year ago, I finally told him I can't do this anymore. And it just progressively got worse.
And then your cancer, you said, how long have you been in?
Since March of this year.
Got it. Okay, Tara, what were you going to say?
Well, I, you know, was diagnosed in 2012 and then went through all of that. So I was diagnosed 10 years prior to Paula. And she kind of saw my whole journey of fighting and then, you know, burying my dad and coming back and fighting for exactly what I wanted. And then finally, you know, once, you know, after the lumpectomy and it came back, it's actually worse than we thought. You're stage 1 invasive. Then that's when my voice was found. That's when I was able to, like, something just sparked inside of me and I walked into that office and I was like, no, this is my body and this is what we're going to do. And if you can't support me, I got to go. I'm going to go find somebody that will support me.
So let me ask you something. And so I know you have this incredible, I don't even want to call it a business, a support a way of supporting women. And I want you to get into that because that's very important. A lot of us do things businessy that we do from our heart because we are making a difference, and it turns into a business because it has to, but not because we always want it to, but because it has no choice but to do that if we're going to make a difference. So just if you don't mind, and I know you work with a lot of women, and I want you to get into that, but before you do, are you noticing women being stronger with their voices today because of all the other stuff going on in the world? Are women finding like, F this, and I'm going for this?
I wish I could say, yeah, it's so dramatically different. So when 2 years after my diagnosis and my surgeries and recovery, I founded Pink Ink Tattoo. And that's where I provide areola 3D nipple tattooing for breast cancer survivors and really anyone in need. And, in the beginning, I heard my same story being said while they were sitting in my chair, like, I had to fight for this, or, well, this is what they told me to do. And then over the past now, April was 11 years of Pink Ink Tattoo. So a little over 11 years of seeing women from all around the world and men and traveling the country and meeting all these wonderful, beautiful survivors. Sadly, it's still about the same. Like, I think because when you're in that moment and they're telling you something, you're trusting the experts. And then it isn't until afterwards, or you feel like you've, said what you wanted to say, and like, this is what I want to do. And then they fight you on it. And then you kind of lose your voice still.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, sometimes I'll meet women that are like, heck yeah, I just had to sit there and fight. And matter of fact, I left my doctor and found somebody new. I went to 3 different consultations before I found the exact breast surgeon, plastic surgeon for reconstruction, and vice versa.
You've all said a lot of stuff, and there's more we want to say, so bear with us. But I think something that's so important is doing that, is getting those other opinions, because when we don't know anything. And if your voice is shaky, which all of them are, I don't care whether you're a Tara or you've gone through it before, like Paula, you got to find a way to get your voice. And when you have all these people talking against your voice, you got to find, are you right? Are you this? Are you that? And you need those second opinions or third opinions or fourth opinions so that you can gather the strength to support your voice and to recognize what it is you want to do, period.
Absolutely.
Right? So tell everybody what you are doing with and did you do this, Paula? Did you have her tattoo yours?
I did, and there's a small story behind that.
Okay.
For the last 3 years, she's been gently offering, nudging maybe, never judging that I wasn't ready, always leaving it in my court. And finally, we saw each other over the last few months, and I said, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready. And she tattooed me, and every time I look in the mirror now, I not only think of Tara, but I feel really different. I did not realize how I felt. I thought I was just okay with it, and how I felt incomplete, but just really didn't realize it. And I don't feel that way anymore. Wonderful.
So, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I will.
Sure.
Is this anything anybody can show or not?
Well, I will do this, not to interrupt you, Paula, but you know what? To really see, especially if Paula's not comfortable with that, you can go to my website at pinkinktattoo.com, and there's before and after, with and without nipple reconstruction, with or without reconstruction. And it's so diverse. You have dark skin, light skin. And so it really shows after tattooing and before tattooing, if that helps.
That would be great. So tell so you do this, and you do this for men. Why men with breast cancer?
So men do get breast cancer.
Right, and they get it a lot.
Yes, it's not as common, but it definitely happens. I actually just tattooed a mayor from South Carolina, 42 years old, double mastectomy, stage 3 breast cancer. And sadly, a lot of men that I see are further along in their stage because they are shunned away or told it's probably just a swollen gland, or, they don't go check it out because men don't get breast cancer. A lot of men never heard
Right.
of that. And
So,
that's just really unfortunate.
so this stigma shit
Gotta stop.
has got to stop, whether it's we're all in this life together, and whether you are a woman who this is common,
Yeah.
or,
And it's getting more
yeah,
common than, it used to be when I first was diagnosed, it was like 1 in 10. And then literally within a 2-year period, it went to 1 in 7.5. Like however that means, but literally we're down to almost 1 in 7 women will get it. And just to say something really quickly, I was born in Cambridge where Paula lives, and that's how we've been friends. Basically our families have known each other their whole lives, so we've known each other and been close since 7 years old. Now I moved down here when I was about 13, 14 to North Carolina, and I grew up in the Cary Apex area. All my girlfriends, and we're still close to this day, there's 7 of us. 3 out of that 7 have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And that is just unacceptable. We all went through puberty together. We all ate the same food, ran the same, run-in together. So, and we're all hormone positive and no family history. We were all 39, 40 years old when diagnosed. It's just something environmental is happening because it's being diagnosed more. And a lot of people go, well, that's because there's better access of care. There's, finding it, detecting it sooner. And that might be the case, but I really think that the environment has something to do with it and what we're putting in our body.
there's no question. If anybody says that it's because of technology, they're nuts. Because
For me,
that's ridiculous. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
for me, it was a high probability that a common stomach medication is what
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
That's
I know
scary.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
What
that's
what
terrifying.
what medication?
Zantac. There's a huge lawsuit right now
Well,
that
I'm
I'm
on
involved in,
Prilosec.
and I don't know anything about
Well,
Prilosec.
that's not over the
Hopefully not.
counter. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But it's been,
I know what Zantac is. That's what you
I
take.
took it for 20 years,
I know what
and
Zantac is. Holy
I'm
moly.
now involved in that lawsuit.
Okay.
So
Okay. So, Tara, give everybody your website, first of all.
So
And
my
what,
website
yeah.
is pinkinktattoo.com. And there are a lot of resources on there for I'm also a policy change maker with Susan G. Komen. And that's where actually Paul and I called her and said, hey, do you want to go help push some bills through? And I actually wrote my own bill called the Tara Williamson bill, that helps push through the areola tattooing so women can be reimbursed without having to appeal or fight for it. And so Paula was like, absolutely. Like, I'm ready. I'm at the point of my life. I'm ready to get involved. So we met in Washington, D.C. and went to Capitol Hill and pushed some bills, talked to senators, congressmen, and, fighting to get money continued with the bills that are in question right now. And so
How
that
much is
is
it? How much is it? How much is it for a woman to have this done, or a man?
So I try to keep my prices extremely low. I know what my value is, and I wish I could do it for free for everyone, but sadly, the bill, the electric company wants something from me. So it for bilateral, it's $650. Everybody gets a free touch up within a year because I know in 6 months or 3 months, you might look at yourself and say, hey, I should have went bigger, darker, pinker, browner, whatever, because again, there's another moment where you're like, um, I'm making this big decision. So we just do, they pick out their own color, their size. It's all about them, their music, whatever they want, whoever they want with them. And it's not, procedure. It's literally a celebration. So that was extremely important to me as well. So, and then unilateral is $450. I haven't changed my prices, $50 in 11 years, just because everything else went up. And I did open my own office in Lewisburg, North Carolina. So, I do continue to work with plastic surgeons here locally and across the country. I travel. I just got back from Mississippi, and I work with breast cancer centers down there, along with 2 other
So if
plastic surgeons.
somebody is listening to this from wherever, Timbuktu, wherever,
Yeah.
and they have a group of friends or they know a group, whatever, do you do that? Do you go and like a meetup and go somewhere and, a circle of women, of friends? Has that ever happened?
You mean to tattoo?
Yeah.
No, so I only do it in a medical setting.
Right. So if they had that.
Everything. Yeah. So
Okay.
my office is a medical office, but it looks like a spa. And Paula was there. She knows it's so fun and comforting. And you really feel like you could just take a breath and put, that, procedural part behind you. And here you're here to celebrate, leave and go live your best life. I also, on that website, I'm a co-chair with American Cancer Society with Making Strides for the Triangle here in North Carolina. And I'm in charge of the survivor area this year. And it's so important because on my website, that's on there. But the reason I'm involved is because they do such great things, but they have access to so much care for women and men diagnosed. And people don't know about it. Like they have this 1-800 number that literally you call it and they can help fund it. Your treatments, they can help drive you back and forth to treatments, help you with medication. And I think Paula understands, that important part of Susan G. Komen and American Cancer Society, that a lot of people don't know that those resources are out there. So I definitely put them on my website. And that's why it's not just about areola tattooing. It goes well beyond that with the advocacy that I'm doing, including writing this book I just wrote. I'm not a, yep.
I want to hear about, I want you to, want to get to the book, but before we do that, I just want you to tell me, what is it about the areola? What does that do to somebody? What does that help them feel, experience, know? Why is it so important?
Well, when it was my time to have this done, I was so excited. I was with some of my girlfriends and they were like, what color are you going to pick? And we kind of just played around and we were like, ah. And then went that Monday thinking I had a voice in it. And here again, I found myself without a voice. I had 3 options, 3 sizes, 3 colors, which were bubblegum pink, chocolate brown, and nude. And then 3 sizes. And I was like, well, are we going to mix them? Like, what are we doing? And she was like, oh no, like these are natural. And I'm like, no, that's not what I looked like prior to having my whole breast removed. And so we started doing the tattooing. She put on her music. It was cold. I stuck to the chair and then she started tattooing and it was so painful. And I looked at her and I said, you're a nurse. I'm a nurse. Let's get the lidocaine. And she goes, oh no, we don't use lidocaine. And traditional tattoo artists don't either. And I was like, well, let's do it. And she goes, well, you shouldn't have any feeling. You had a double mastectomy. And I go, you know what? I'm a miracle then because I feel everything. And I'm on fire and about to get out of this chair with half a nipple. And so I bared down, made it through. It was a horrible experience. They looked
I did not
terrible.
know you did that.
Yes, and they looked terrible. One's round, one was oblong. They were gray appearing after they healed. But when I left that day, there was like a hallway at my plastic surgeon's office. And we had searched the whole country for an expert. There just was not one at that time. A couple traditional tattoo artists, but I didn't want to go to a tattoo shop. And so I had the nurse do it, and she had been trained 3 times. But when I left that day, I'm walking through this dim lit hallway, and it was like something came over me and said, you're going to do this. You have to do this. I like to say it was divine intervention. I walked out through the door. My plastic surgeon was standing there, and who I love and adore. And he said, what do you think? And I go, I think that's unacceptable. And I'm going to go train with the best in the world. I'm coming back and doing this. And that's when I left my nursing career in 2014 and started Pink Ink Tattoo.
So what does this do for a woman or a man?
I feel, and Paula can, because she's been on the other end of it. Yep. But I feel like
it literally brings back your confidence. It helps you feel whole again. I mean, the smiles and the tears of joy that happen after I tattoo is it. I get to live vicariously through their experience because I didn't have that. But Paula being on the other side to be able to have her voice heard and it be all about her on her day with me, she can, speak on that for sure.
So, Paula?
For me, it ended up being the symmetry, honestly. I can imagine for all kinds of women, it may have something to do with femininity or sexuality. But I did not realize, looking back, that I felt like I looked like Frankenstein. All I had was a big scar down the affected breast. And putting that back there, not only does it remind me of Tara and what she does for women, no matter what it means to the woman, for me, it meant appearing symmetrical again, appearing normal looking.
And you did it. You know what I love about all of this, and I love you did it for the right reasons. You didn't do it because of a man, because he wasn't even there.
Yes.
That I love.
Right.
That. I love that. Love that. Love that. And I really appreciate you're saying that because it's you did it for yourself, and so did Tara.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tara, tell everybody about your book.
Well, I'm not a big writer. I don't sit down and go, I'm going to write a book. But something, again, was inside of me that said, you have to do it. Like, you're going to do this. And I just kind of took my breast cancer experience and went more in depth. Like, I've done interviews or been on the news and, spoke at conferences. And I'm truly honored to do that. But you kind of only can be able to get out, a surface level of it. Writing and putting your words down on paper was not just therapeutic, but for me, and healing that I didn't know I still needed. But it hopefully, and I'm sure it will, literally give inspiration to others that maybe are just newly diagnosed or been, a survivor for 20, 30 years and are like, read the book and go, you know what, it's time. Because let me tell you, I have met those women that it's been 17 years since they've been diagnosed. And then they say, I'm ready for the tattooing, or ready to make a difference in my life, ready to change my life the way I want to live it. So hopefully this book just goes deeper into my experience and why I do what I do, and then give resources and help for somebody else that might be walking the same path, but differently.
And that book is available on your website, on where else?
That book is at every major bookstore, website, online, like Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, Walmart, and of course, at my website at pinkinktattoo.com. And it's called Finding My Gift Through My Breast Cancer Journey.
Well, you two are amazing. And I want to ask you, any final words, anything that both of, I'm not even going to say either one of you, both of you. I'm not letting either one of you go without a word of wisdom.
I was waiting for this part.
Oh.
In short, cancer takes so much from some people, but it also gave me so much. I wouldn't change it. I would go through every single thing again because I'm a different person, and I'm a healthy person. Mind, body, soul, who I like, and my relationships have grown. And I just, like I said, I'm in a better place. I'm learning my voice. I was never someone who spoke out or spoke up for myself. I don't know who I am sometimes. I just told that to a friend the other day. I'm like, I'm still learning who Paula is. And it's amazing.
You got me on that one because honestly, I've said 18 months of eye stuff, and I would say to myself over and over, why did God take me out? Because I'm a tool. I'm a tool. I mean, I'm a tool. I'm not perfection, but I'm working it. I'm a tool. Use me. I'm an instrument. And I would ask over and over and over again, why'd you take me out? Why'd you take me off the street? Why am I in my bedroom with it being dark? No, the blinds drawn, the shades down, and I'm wearing sunglasses, and I can't drive. I can't go anywhere. Why? And I know why now. Well, I don't know the whole why, because it's part of the journey, I think, in discovering who I am now in this way. I'm a lot nicer person. I am not that bull in a china cabinet. I don't want to be. I'm freer now than I've ever been. And I always thought I was a free kind of person. I am freer now. I'm saying things to people, that than I would never, ever have said before. I mean,
100%.
you know what I mean? And I'm not wimpish. I've said things, but there's a level of profound things that I am saying that is different than I've ever done before. And so I completely get this. And no, do I want to ever have to go through this again? No. Or do I want to see anyone go through what you, Paula, and Tara have had to go through, and other people that I know of all kinds of things? But for some of us, maybe not all of us, but some of us can find this freedom and some kind of understanding about ourselves, and life becomes much, much more appreciated. And if you don't have a group of people, a person, you gotta reach out to us. You gotta reach out to a Tara and a Paula. You just got to. You cannot do this alone, and it doesn't matter whether we're strangers or we're not. We are not strangers. We share a heart and soul together, and we share karma, in my opinion, and we're sharing this, and we're sharing this universe. So, Tara, what's your final?
Well, I think you both nailed it. I mean, 100%. And I think the common denominator that the three of us with these life challenges that we went through, our spiritual growth, if it wasn't for my faith in God, there's no way I could be where I am today. I did walk away from my faith during this because I was going through hell, and it was horrible. And that was 2 weeks of the worst time of my life. It literally was worse than anything I've ever been through. And when I finally just surrendered and said, I can't do it on my own. All right, Lord, I give you my whole being, and everything changed. Of course I still have trials and tribulations, but I know that I can make it through with my faith. So I think that was a huge, and I think for everyone, just get stronger in you. Find you, and it's not going to be overnight. Like Paula said, I'm still finding me. I mean, I'm still looking at my voice and saying, or even, am I confident enough to do that? And I just go, yeah, I am. I'm worthy of it. So I think that's it. And you're right, Marilyn. Reach out to us, because we're all in this together.
I mean, we are, and I often will tell clients, when you go with the flow of the river, there will be people along the way to give you a helping hand. If you go against the flow of that river, honey, watch out. I wouldn't want to be you. And life is hard. Life is hard, and it gets very hard when you get involved in all of this stuff. So if you can't find the day of light or the light of day, I don't know. And I will tell everybody, when I went through all of this, I thought about people like the two of you, because I didn't feel like I was dying, even though I felt like sometimes I wanted to. I thought I should. It was so painful.
Your eyesight.
Yeah, I mean, you can't think. You can't take in information. I mean, you can't do any of that. It's awful. And I would say to everybody, but I'm not dying. And I said it over and over, and I said it to clients. I said it on the air. I said it in front of people in presentations when I could do something. I told everybody, I'm not dying. And so when it came to having the transplant, they told us it would be an hour. It ended up being 2 hours because of all the extra things I had to do because I had so many issues. And so when the nurse wheeled me out of recovery to the car, my husband was sitting in the front seat. He doesn't pick out woo-woo or the metaphorical, metaphysical, kind of spiritual kind of things on his own. But we were sitting there. I got in the car. I didn't even have a chance to put the seatbelt on yet. The phone rang. I couldn't see who it was, and I'm like, it's my mother, it's my brothers, it's all these people calling to find out what the heck is going on. You said an hour, it's been like 10. What's going on? I answered the phone, and this woman on the other end says, hello, is so-and-so there? And I said, no, who's calling, please? And she said to me, it's so-and-so from XYZ Funeral Home.
Oh my God.
What?
And I said to her, you got the wrong number and I'm not dying.
Yeah.
I ain't dying is what I said, because I'm all
That's right.
on the street. But, and in about a 30-second elevator speech, I told her who she called. And she said, oh, and that's all she said. And I looked at my husband, and we had this electrical current. And
Yeah.
and we went out last night for a drink with a yoga. We were in yoga, and we went out for a drink with a yoga friend, and she hadn't heard this story. And I told her, and he was sitting right there, because every time I tell this story, if he's around, I look at him and I say, did that really happen? Because I'm shocked, but we're not alone.
No.
We are definitely, and if you don't believe in a God, in a Buddha, in a Jesus, but just believe you're not alone. If it doesn't have to be some kind of, God of some sort. It can just be Tara, me, and Paula. You are not alone. We're not meant to be alone. And there is.
Can I tell it? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's a
Sorry.
really tiny, quick story.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I have a friend going through hell with something. She was outside and said, Paula, I need to find my rainbow. She walked in the house, and somewhere over the rainbow was playing.
Yes.
Isn't that just?
Yes.
Well, you know, Paula, so I wish I could be on video, because I have this tattoo that has 3 little birds. And in my book, there's a picture of 3 little birds. I did a big thing for NASCAR, and on the hood design had 3 little birds. And I'll tell you, it's the same exact thing, because when I was first diagnosed and fighting and going, and my cousin, who's kind of hippie-ish, came over and said, oh my God, Tara, every time I'm with you, this song keeps playing. And I go, I don't even hear music. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. She goes, it doesn't matter if we're in your car, in your house, wherever this song plays. And you need to go get it on the radio or on the computer with a box of tissues. And sure enough, because my dad, he was a Vietnam veteran, super simple man, liked his things, and he was kind of hippie-ish, if you get what I mean. And here's the song came on, and it was Bob Marley's 3 Little Birds. And if anybody's heard it, which I'm sure a lot of people have, and if you haven't, go hear it. But that's exactly what it is. It's like everything's going to be okay. And it's like that electric bolt or that rainbow playing on, over the rainbow. And I heard that song all the way through every surgery. I had 7 surgeries in 14 months. And anything that goes on in my life now, that's like, I am feeling so overwhelmed. Here comes, like, that commercial was on TV last year with the 3 little birds. I mean, I just couldn't even believe it. When my first granddaughter was being born, and that morning we're on the way to the hospital, and my daughter's like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm so scared. And I was like, let's just, turn the radio on, say a prayer. Like, you've got this, you're strong. And turn the radio on. That song was playing halfway through. And we both looked at each other and went, okay, Grandpa, we get you.
That's what you say. And so
Yeah.
this is all magnificent. And, I'm mesmerized by some of the light behind you, Paula.
Yeah.
I mean, Tara, what the heck is it?
It's just the sunlight.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but it's more than sunlight. It's
Exactly.
literally, it's like Paula being reborn, it's a
It
big
is.
step. It's a big step in her life. She's really stepped out of her comfort zone, especially with me going to DC, putting words out there in the public, doing this interview. I know she was a nervous wreck, but, and I told her, you tell as much as you want, because your story is important.
Yeah.
This is the
And I
first
love
time.
her.
And if you
Yeah.
look behind her, there's a blue line and there's a white line, and call it whatever you want. It ain't just regular light.
That's right.
I'm
I
telling you.
agree.
So everybody out there, you got a story to tell, whatever it is, there's somebody that needs to hear it. It can
Tell
be-
it. I
it
didn't
is-
tell it for so long. Tell it.
Tell everything. Tell everything. There's no story that shouldn't be told. Every story needs a platform and a microphone. And I am happy to bring you both of those. And please, 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 we got to hand deliver each other and our messages to each other. You can't find this stuff on a website, and you cannot find it, just on the TV. You have got to hear from, people personally and their stories, because that's what moves the needle. So I want to thank you all so much. Please share at Marilyn Listens on Instagram, TikTok, and you find me on Facebook, Marilyn something, and YouTube, Marilyn, I don't know what it is, but you'll find me, Marilyn Shannon, you'll find me. If you don't, let me know and I'll help you find me. Bless everybody today. And I hope, and I know, I'm not even going to hope, I know that there's something you heard today that will stay with you forever. Please share a little bit here and a little bit there. Don't be afraid to share something. It doesn't matter. If you've got a friend, a stranger that comes in your path, in your midst, please, 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 we all need each other. Now, I don't know, I can't even say more than ever, but now it's really important. I haven't lived forever, and I don't know what the future is going to be with me living forever in the future either, but please share. And I want to thank you both so much.